Huh? It's 6:10, and I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum with Board Member Hada, Board Member Floresville, and myself. And we have some guests here that I'll introduce later, in just a few minutes, as a matter of fact. And then we'll proceed. Let's rise for the invocation. Our Heavenly Father, we ask that you lead us and guide us. Help us to make decisions that are right, decisions that are fair, decisions that will help our community, help us to serve our community. We thank you for the privilege of serving our community. In your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
with liberty and justice for all.
honor and Texas flag,
Pledge allegiance to thee in Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay. You're with the Peanut Festival, right?
Yes, sir.
I think we have you on agenda item C, but I would like to go ahead, and if it's okay with the board, I'd like to go ahead and bring them to the top of the agenda. Does anyone object? Can we do that? Oh, yes. Okay.
Anything out of sequence?
So I'll go ahead and let you speak. And we're discussing item C, TABC license. They're for off-premises events. And go ahead.
All right, good evening. My name is Courtney Cantu. I am the 2020 president of the Floresville Peanut Festival Association. So sorry. So we are here to discuss the permit and license that we worked with you guys last year on to sell beer at our festival. To my knowledge, and I have Brenda Trevino here with us as treasurer, I think everything worked out great. I think the split was that the organization got 10%, which amounted to about $2,000.
$2,005.11.
And then as far as the cost of the supplies and everything, we reimbursed your organization back for that cost. We didn't receive any negative feedback as far as it not working. It seemed to work out great. Y'all were able to make a little bit of money and also help us in return. So we are just here to see if that would be something y'all might be interested in helping with us again. Anybody have any questions?
I have questions.
Courtney, do we know for sure the festival will happen this year? Or?
At this point, we're moving on as normal. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, in 30 days, in 90 days. So we're just planning as normal. In September, that decision will be made, and a communication will go out as far as what our plans are. If we are not able to have the festival, what we will be doing. We will be working with our county and city and, of course, our state officials, because they're pretty much going to be the ones to tell us whether we can host it or not, based on the guidelines that they provide us. So at this point, we're just scheduling as normal, and then once we get to September, we will be releasing a statement on how we will work moving forward.
Let me ask a question to our event manager. Do we have time from September to October to mobilize and get everything set up for the product and everything to come through? Or how much time do we need?
Probably at least a couple of months. We're going to need some time to make sure we get all the beer vendors in place and see what their protocols are going on with this COVID as well. Because right now we haven't ordered any beer or anything because a lot of events got canceled here. So
Okay.
we got to get with their planners.
Could we start planning in the event of something happening, not make any purchase until we know for sure?
Correct.
Yeah.
But can we,
That's something I would have to discuss with them. I talked to a few of them because they come weekly to see. A lot of the San Antonio events are already canceled, so I don't know what their plans are as far as that. So I can discuss that with them to see.
They're still operating, or
Yeah, they're still operating.
Yeah, they have to deliver to restaurants
Right.
and
Yeah.
other entities that serve alcohol.
But they're event planners that I talk to, the ones that actually do the big events, because there's certain reps that do
Yes.
those events.
Currently, the occupancy for the event center is, within the system is 500.
Yes, 50% is 500.
So we're at 50% now, which is 500, which means we couldn't host the Hula games because I know you have more than 500.
Correct. Correct.
And then I think outside, the governor's order right now, as it stands right now, it's 500. That seems to be the magic number for events outside the gathering. So,
That's correct, that's as of right
As
now.
of right now. Like I said, we don't know what's going to happen next week in 30 days, and we want to make sure when we do have to come up with an alternate plan, that we communicate that effectively, that we work with our city and our county officials, and that we have a plan in place when we make that decision. And like I said, the decision's not going to be coming straight from the festival. That's going to be with what is in regards to what is happening at that moment and what the restrictions are. So at this point, like I said, we're planning on moving forward. We're working with our vendors, so that way in the event that, you know what, we're still in the same position, here's our new date. We're just able to move everything we've already coordinated just to the new date. It makes it a lot easier for all of us.
And would it be the same setup with the alcoholic beverages with who is it, the Knights?
The ninth.
At
Would
this
that be
point,
the same arrangement?
as far as we know, the Knights have not contacted us to tell us that they were not interested, so as far as we know, they would still be doing it.
That was something she did.
Yeah, I know our board member Jacob Godwin was looking into that also.
Okay.
So, you know, that if we don't have any direction yet, at least from our vendors and then from the festival, I don't think we need to take action at this moment. That's my.
I think at this point, we're just wanting to know if that's something y'all would still be interested in, because if it's not, it's gonna take us a while to come up with an alternative to be able to source somebody that would be willing to do the same thing for us, because we cannot hold the permit, is what's happening. So I know last year was very last minute. We were in a bind, y'all were able to help us out, it worked out great. I just don't want us to be in that bind again. So that's why we wanted to come to you guys early, so that way we can start dialogue and communicating and see if that be something y'all would be interested in doing again.
Again, I think yes, go ahead.
I think the issue here is not whether we're going to have the event or not. It is if the 4-H is willing to guarantee that they will put the license in place to do
Correct.
the alcohol purchase. And that will be, regardless of what they do, is it the board is going to decide to do it or not to do it this year, regardless of whether it's in council or not.
I think you're correct in one aspect, but also I think that we have to make sure our vendors are able to do this.
Right.
On a short notice. And we also have to make sure that the Knights of Columbus are willing to do this. At one point last year, they weren't quite as willing as we would like for them to be. And then they came on board. So I don't know what the situation is there. Jake was supposed to find out for us.
Well, if the Knights do not do it, then that's something that our board will take over. We need to have it. So if it becomes that our volunteers have to turn around and pick up those shifts as well, then that's something that we will have to do.
That adds another layer in there, in the sense that there has to be a lot of training that has to happen.
Correct.
The licensing,
Yes.
I mean, the certification.
The certification. Some of our board members are certified. I am one of them.
We had made those preparations last year in the event that the Knights of Columbus chose not to. So we were getting prepared to do that.
One of the things that we went on last year was the availability of the Knights, because they've been doing this for years. and it makes
Absolutely.
sense. And they had all the equipment and everything set up.
Yes.
And that was one of the things that we looked at carefully last year, when we thought we were doing it. Ms. Hudson, do you have any questions?
Well, I feel like at this point, they are kind of depending on it this year. And so, I mean, whether or not it's possible with us, I don't know if on all of us, our decision.
You know, and she brings up a good point. Courtney, you brought up that we made $2,000 last year,
Yeah,
something like that.
2,000, a little over 2,000.
That's what was, I guess, a check read to us or deposited to our account. But that doesn't account for the labor back and forth, taking the beer, bringing the alcoholic beverages back to the center. We're paying labor for that. We paid an attorney to draw up the legal documents. So,
Do we have a cost associated with that y'all could give us on what that costed y'all last year?
well, about $15,000.
Oh, wow. How much do your laborers get paid? I gotta do it.
I don't know the exact number, but I do know that we probably lost money.
Well, and that's the thing that y'all would definitely need to come to us, because like I said, we didn't get any feedback from anybody
Yeah, I
in
understood,
regards
yeah.
to this committee as far as anything that went wrong. And that's stuff that we definitely need to know about. If we don't want y'all to take a loss, y'all are definitely helping us out.
Right, and I will say, I mean, I got feedback that I do know that Ches was working late hours and having to bring the beer back over here in his personal vehicle. So
Right.
I am aware of the amount of labor that but we didn't know that ahead of time.
No,
that was
it
something
was-
that you
it was
guys
the
were going
first
to have to
time.
It was
plan.
the
right?
first time, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, it wasn't just that, we also had to call on-call staff.
On call, I mean, there was a
On-call
lot of-
staff to come help him, because it was more than he could carry by himself. So we had to call on-call crew in, and they get paid on a holiday, or whatever. Peter
Yes,
Jackson
'cause
is a
you-
holiday for
of
us,
course.
so they got paid double time to bring and unload their liquor for that time.
So I think it's important to maybe share those figures with us so that we can reevaluate to make sure that, of course, your costs are covered before, you have to make a profit. So whatever your costs are for laborers and the expenses you incurred, you need to definitely bring those to us so that we can reimburse you for that. Whether that was however many hours Ches worked, the employee that y'all had to call in.
We didn't say anything because, I mean, we knew what we were getting into.
But fair is fair. We are totally
Yeah,
fair and we're
we're all
very
in it for the
yeah,
same thing.
absolutely. We want to make sure that it's right.
We want to have a pay for that, so that's, we've always been there.
Well, the thing is too, Bill, is like if we have to know that we have something, we're assuming that we're going to be able to, but like Courtney said, until September, we're not going to know. And if we don't have that decision until September, then it's going to almost be impossible if it's a go to move forward in October. And at the same point, if it's a go at that time, and then come like, you know, the week before the festival, and the powers that be cancel it, I mean, then we have to be able to shift gears.
I understand. We kind of don't wait.
Exactly. We're in the unknown territory right now.
Mr. Golan is here, and he's connected tonight, and is talking, I'd like to report.
Okay, I checked with the Knights about the beer booth, and they said that they probably were not going to do it this year. Now they come for the officers, of course, and but this is what they said. He said if anybody else takes it, they want to hire us to man the booth, fine, you know, but no percentage.
The percentage that they receive.
And so it's going to be somebody else's to make sure that the beer is ordered, and so on and so on. They're going to get completely away from handling the beer. And this is, as a matter of fact, I just talked with them last week, and this is a report they gave me again that they were not going to do the beer at the pit fest.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
So, the Knights of Columbus, when we met with them last year, they helped us figure out how many orders.
We have all that information.
Yeah, they helped us to figure out which orders, and they really based it off of your entertainment, is what they based it.
Yes, yeah, you base it off your
Spasmatics,
entertainment.
right? That was a big thing. was
They draw a big crowd.
Was
Yes.
that the one?
Spasmatic.
So they said because they based it on, you know, the year before they had spasmatics, so they based the order on that. As we're talking to the vendors to see what the lead time is on the beer, what kind of directive can we give Chaz, as what type of order would you need? To say that you ordered last year, or?
I would say it'd be pretty close, as
So, I
far
mean,
as
he
the
goes to
entertainment
his
we have
orders.
lined up.
Yeah, so then he could just say, how long, what kind of notice would you need to order X amount that we ordered the same year? Because I think it's just two, it's just a two, it's just a 2 year.
Oh, no.
We had,
about 3 or 4 years.
Halo,
we had six different kinds of beer
But there's two vendors that serve
with
that.
2 vendors.
So we will have him check on the same order that we placed last year for
Correct.
2 vendors, and then ask him for the lead time, but we won't place any orders. We'll ask him what the lead time is.
what the lead time is.
And then I guess I gotta figure
And
out,
then as soon as, whatever the lead time is, what if they say it has to be in August and we'll haven't decided, and he placed that order, once we place the
They
order.
won't ask for a beer order in August, there's no way.
No,
Usually it's a
correct.
1 to 2 week lead time to order beer. So all your businesses that serve beer downtown, they'll usually order it the week before
Okay, but
for
they
the
have to
next.
schedule, it's a little bit different because it's not, they're not just doing delivery, they have to park a truck there. They bring a truck, do they not?
yes.
Yes.
So they bring a truck there, so it's not like we just deliver to Olivia's and they drop and keep going.
But that shouldn't require months advance notice.
I'm just saying, so,
It's the month's planning, it's gonna require, once we put the order in, it's gotta be about close to 3 weeks out. That's the way I did it last year.
So
The
3
only
weeks.
thing is
early
gonna be
September, so
about-
right after Labor Day, I'm saying, we'll know, you know,
Yes.
right after Labor Day. is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
good?
That is around the time that we are going to make that announcement, is around right after Labor
So
Day.
then we can have
We'll
that
know
as
yes or no.
that as a guideline to say,
The only thing I gotta figure out with the vendors is, if we put that order in and pay, when we get that return, if it gets canceled, then that's bad. Because that would be,
Well, if it's a 3-week lead time for your order, that's mid-September, because the festival is on the 9th and 10th of October this year.
So you'll know.
So you'll know, you won't have to place an order before we decide what we're gonna do.
okay, so we won't place an order until. we
I wouldn't
decide.
place an order until we know, because we don't wanna get stuck with product, definitely.
and that's what I gotta talk to them about, to see how far in advance I gotta
Yes.
pay for that and all of that.
So that's definitely gonna require some legwork on your end to figure out what their processes are, especially with the new norm of what they're doing with deliveries.
Yes,
Yes, that question.
yes. What's happening with the beer, and I didn't know if you knew, that the beer has expiration date.
Yes,
And the guy that manufactured the beer and the guy that the order, he knows that he has the lead time to order, because one day process the order is not going back.
exactly.
It's somebody else's problem. So this is, it's not just that you say, well, 2 weeks I can order the delivery. Under normal conditions, yes, because they know they can get rid of it, but with the situation we have, nobody want to take the risk,
No.
not even the producer of the beer, to say, go ahead and fire up and give me 20 million bottles of beer,
And
when
then
they
not
know that they
sell.
don't want to get stuck with it.
Mhm,
So they
exactly.
just kind of go on demand. If you don't order, I need this much, so this is what we're going to produce, and that's it.
Yes.
And so that makes it more technical, the logistics of it become more difficult.
So we won't place the beer order, or we will let y'all know first. Like I said, sometime after Labor Day, we meet the second Thursday of every month, so whatever that falls on in September, we'll have a decision by then. And then that way we let y'all know, and Ches, you can let me know if that's enough lead time for you to be able to order it or not.
Yeah, I'll get with them, next week and see what the procedures are, during all this time.
And Chaz, and maybe Henrietta, can we get a definite cost of what's involved?
Absolutely.
well,
And meet
now
with
that we've
Courtney
done it
and
here,
her
we have
board.
experience, we know how it works.
Yes.
That was our first time.
Yeah, first time,
We
and
knew how,
we took
know
a
how
hit.
it works, so we can, we'll have our prices from the beer vendors, and then we know what happened last year.
Yeah.
And we'll have,
The other thing that I might ask, since he gave us confirmation that the Knights are no longer interested, if y'all do have TABC servers that have helped y'all here at the event center, we would definitely welcome their information should they be interested. I mean, if we need to pay them, then we would be able to pay them to be able to service the beer since they're qualified.
they have an agency here, so they're-
Exactly, to give them work too. And I mean, we don't know, but
a lot of them cover cities, but he can give you a little bit of the rates and time and situation.
nights provide the tubs, booths and all that too.
Yes.
That's a problem.
No, that's something that we'll source. We'll get all that together. We will get the whole setup.
We have the tub, we don't have the little booth, but we'll think
We
about
can
it.
do pop-up tent canopies, we can do 6-foot tables. It doesn't have to be a welded structure like they typically do. We can definitely make a beer booth very
Like I said,
easily.
we had our learning, we cut our teeth on it the
And
last
we have a
time.
welder.
We cut our teeth on it the last time because we didn't know we were kind of coming this thing. So we know what happened, we know how we can fix some things. So we'll put that together for you.
And that's understandable too, because I think we based your percentage last year, we based it on the previous years from what we've used before, but we didn't have, you guys didn't provide the manpower that you provided last year. So, you know, it was a kind of wait and see thing. So we fully expect that. We just need to know, you know, are you willing to renew the contract at a different percentage of, you know, to where it meets your needs so that we can scratch that off of our list and move forward.
I think that was one of the issues that we had a question about last year. I know that the sheriff provides security for liquor, is that right?
Sheriff's Department provides our festival security, yes.
So that's gonna say the same thing as
Yes, oh yeah, absolutely.
And then, insurance is one of the questions that the city attorney asked. But she said, we got enough liquor, you be comfortable with the insurance, with the whatever. What insurance like this? I'm looking at the liquor insurance.
No, I wasn't comfortable with it at all.
Their insurance coverage.
I mean, we have kind of a general policy here. P&L, general policy for the city, but we don't have a specific policy for liquor liability. That's what I would like to look into. I think that the city's costs this year for me are gonna be a lot lower than they were last year, because everything's ready to go. I could do this again. Partnership agreements are done. But the insurance question, I think, is important. It's up to the board if they want to decide if they want to do like they did last year and kind of use just TML coverage, or we want to get a specific temporary policy, short-term policy for the event itself.
Because when the question came up, when we were talking about liquor license, 4B is a separate, 4A is a separate entity in the city, but they all use our insurance on
Oh, I
the TML insurance. And so we went to go look at the liquor liability insurance that we have in the city carries for mostly, it speaks to a lot of this building because most of the time we just sell it here.
Absolutely.
And so we were selling off-site for the first time, and we were under the gun, so that was enough. But the city attorney expressed that she didn't know that was enough because it's off-site. And we haven't, you all haven't, I don't know, I can't speak to it, but I don't think the Florida has actually done an off-site.
Not until last year.
Yeah, so that was the first time we did
That
an
was the
event
first time.
that we used a liquor license off-site. And so the liability insurance that we had on that happened, but mostly just talks about this place right here because that's where they know we were selling liquor from. And so we may have to look into a separate policy for just that time off-site premises for that event. You know, as we go on and as this continues or whatever happens, but that was one of the questions that the city attorney asked me, in reference to that. TML wasn't enough, and that's all we have is for here.
That's what we were concerned about last year, was the fact that we thought we probably did, but it's come out saying that we didn't.
Yeah, and it's mostly because it's not here.
Absolutely, I understand.
You know.
Well, we had coverage, because we checked.
Yeah.
And I confirmed that TML, we did have TML coverage, because it was, you know, it was a sanctioned event. We were in contract with the beer festival, but it was a very, very general coverage, as opposed to more specific coverage aimed at, liquor liability and maybe a higher ceiling on your damages on the amounts they pay out and stuff like that.
And I know you all have insurance, and it was one of the things that you all did was add a rider to this
Yes,
for that event.
that is
But
correct.
we may have to look at doing, like you said, for short-term insurance for just those particular times.
Yeah, and if it is your employees, then that's what we did with the nights last year, is we added a rider to our insurance and added them as covered agents, so we,
Additional insurance.
we could, yeah, additional insurance. So we could do that again if it comes down to where you're providing the labor. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you, I forgot to mention about you all, but they also mentioned, the Knights also mentioned that, if y'all had problems getting labor for the beer, maybe some of the same, guys that Knights, that is, that have worked the booth year after year after year, if y'all were willing to pay them so much an hour to mend the booth, you know, that would work.
They would be willing to help.
Well,
That's great.
he's got to bring it to them to see if they're willing to work, you know. And they already got everything packed.
Well, they come with a wealth of knowledge, so we would definitely welcome, you know,
Well,
some
let
of
me,
them to
let
come
me
and
make a
help.
phone call tomorrow, and we'll see, and I can get with Miss Henrietta, then she can call you and so on, and
I think that would be great,
yeah.
definitely.
Now, how much they want, an
We-
hour or whatever, I don't know.
We
So
would have to,
just for clarification, so you're saying that some people from the Knights would be willing to get paid personally rather than having the money go to their organization?
Right, you pay each individual so much an hour.
very interesting.
You know. And another thing, they might, I'm not just saying they might, want to rent the booth, and they'll come and set it up and so on. They're just not going to be involved, you know. And if you say, well, I tell you what, since y'all have a booth, if you'll come set it up, we'll give you whatever, you know, and whatever they want, and they'll come and set up the booth. And if they have the labor, then you can pay them so much an hour.
That would be cheaper than 50%.
And y'all don't have to worry.
That would definitely be cheaper than the 50% that they get now.
Absolutely, we'd jump on that in a heartbeat.
Okay, well, let me make a phone call
Say
tomorrow.
50%?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's 50 to the
50.
Knights, 40 to the peanut festival, and 10 to the
They
40.
got it for the license. Very interesting.
So, like I said, they just mentioned that. I don't know whether they just throw it out there, and whether they're gonna
If you
say
don't mind
no.
me asking, who did you speak with? So that way when I call to confirm that they are no longer interested, I speak to the right person.
They just changed the president and so on.
Uh-huh.
The president now is going to be Martinez, Walter Martinez's son.
Oh, Albert.
Albert.
Albert?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
He's gonna
was
be the
Mike
president.
Asensio last year.
Yeah, but like I said, when this discussion came about, the old president is the one that brought it up.
Mike.
So I don't know whether the old president has communicated this with Albert. Let me throw it to them and let them decide, and then they can call you within the next few days and let you all know everything.
Oh, yeah, we need to
Yeah,
know pretty
exactly.
quickly because we're in,
I would hate
But
to
working
make
with
a
him.
decision on their end without 100% confirmation, because I know that this is one of the Knights, historically been the Knights' biggest fundraiser to them, the money that they get from the Peanut Festival Association. So if they're willing to give that up, then perhaps they have other avenues, and that's okay. We just don't want to take it away from them if that's, you know.
No, you know, they have done it for so many years.
Yes.
They got worn out.
And
You know,
that's.
Friday night and Saturday night.
two
they
nights
take
in a
beating.
row. Yes. And a lot of them are older, you know, they don't have a lot of youth in their organization, so it's very hard.
Yeah. So,
Board, does anyone else have any comment?
let me, just to clarify, you know, I know that the license here is in your name, I believe.
Well, it's on the board's.
On the board's
I've
name?
signed on
Okay.
it, but I've signed for it.
And I think your name, right? What is, if something was to happen, who would be liable? Is this what we were talking about before I got here, or that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the insurance.
That's the
What I would
insurance.
like to recommend to the board is that we do some fact finding and come back on the 30th of this month and make a decision. And that would still give it, that would be a special meeting for us.
That sounds great. No.
Is it possible by the 30th, when you make your decision, it's possible to have a proposal if you decide to move forward?
I think we have everything in place.
Okay.
Our attorney can probably put that together very quickly.
Okay.
The partnership stuff, it's easy.
The
Yes.
partnership stuff is not a problem. I think what we've
The
got
dollars.
to find is
It's the
insurance.
cost
Yeah,
involved.
absolutely.
And not necessarily to, make a profit, but to cover our
To
costs.
cover your costs and the
Right.
legwork that you're.
And if you need, we can be completely transparent, and I can send you the dollars associated last year with what, and I think I might have sent it to Chaz last year, but what our profits were, and what we paid out. So that way you know, we ordered 311 cases, this is how much we sold, this is how much we made, and how much we paid out.
I think
If that'll help.
The questions that we're gonna have to answer between now and the 30th, we're gonna have to fact find, are the insurance. I think we're gonna have to fact find about the beer and the availability, and then we're gonna be able to pounce on it, and say, make a commitment, and then be able to pull that commitment away from that. And that will also find out, give us a little bit closer to what the government's gonna say about doing all this stuff. I noticed today one of the major athletic conferences in the country said they were going to cancel all activities for the fall season. So, yeah, I don't know. But I think those are definite things we have to look for.
Well,
I
in
would like
hopes
some-
as well, I'd like to say in hopes as well, that we are not able to host the festival in October, and we do have a rescheduled date, we would hope that the partnership would still be there and be available to us.
What is your rescheduled date?
We haven't established that yet, but that is something that we are going to be working on in the next couple weeks. We have a date kind of pinpointed, but we're trying to check with all of our vendors to see who is available and if we can still get all the resources that we get typically on that rescheduled date.
Would it be in 2020 or?
2021.
Okay. That's my recommendation, that we come back on the, I believe it's the 30th.
So then there will be two festivals in 2021.
Potentially.
And I think we should, I need someone to commit to finding out about the insurance and getting that shaped up.
No, I don't have it down here. I thought I'd be that someone, but you have somebody else in mind.
I'm getting a point from this one.
No, I have that down here. Now, I also have down city's ability to get the beer and suppliers and stuff. That's on that.
Okay.
Yes, and Chad can go back and do a quick calculation of what transpired in reference to staffing, and so we can get those numbers as well.
And I need a commitment from you guys about covering our expenses
Absolutely.
and the cities in the sense that we have to do that. And then
As
give
long
us
as
any
that's all
information
provided
we
to us.
have about, solid information we have about rescheduled days and things like that. And I hate to put you off, but we've got to make the right decision here. And I was president of the Festival in 1991, and 81, I'm sorry. And I have very close ties to it. I think fond of it. I have many, many fond memories of it. But right now, we're representing the 4A board and this building and its interest. And we've got to take it into major consideration, what's best for it. We're also talking about if anything happens, our license can be affected, which means that a major source of income, not for just a month or two, but could be for a tractor, will be taken away from this building. And so we have to consider those things. And I think if someone would be interested in making a motion to that effect, could we come back on the 30th? I would entertain that, or any other motion that's available from the board member. Is there anyone
a special meeting on the 30th.
Okay, I have a motion by Esquivel,
Second.
second by Tahada. Any discussion of the meeting? All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. Okay, then we will come back here on the 30th with information gathered by our attorney, by Chaz, by you, and got the nights for you and how that's going to work. And we'll make a decision at that time.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Who should we send our information to? Do we send it to you or to Ches?
Ches and Henrietta.
Ches and Henrietta?
Right.
And the attorney.
Okay, that sounds great.
And you can copy me, email, or whatever, but just, I think it needs to get to those three right there.
Perfect.
And because they're going to be our organizational foundation.
Just for my clarification, I did see a hand and a hand. What was your vote on that, sir? It was a hand. Four, so was it 4-0?
It's 4-0. Okay.
Do you have something?
Yes.
And by then, I should have an answer for you,
Oh,
if
that'd
the
be
nights
great.
are willing to work and for how much the beer bill.
Perfect. That would
Okay.
be great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Y'all be safe.
Okay, our next order of business, moving back to our agenda, is item A, Chess.
We need to do the minutes first.
Yes, sir. We need to go to the consent agenda real quick. if you don't
Oh,
mind.
I'm sorry. Consent agenda, presentation, discussion, and approval of the minutes, regular scheduled meeting. You have the agenda, the minutes on the back of your agenda. Here, second page. When you have a chance to read those, I'll entertain a motion to accept them.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. You were absent. Hard for me to say if you're active. That's okay. You can just abstain.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second? Okay. Moved by Otto, second by Esquivel, to accept the minutes as approved or as presented. All those in favor? Thank you. Pass it over to Mrs. Mr. Otto,
Mr. Tahada to sign that, those minutes. please.
Okay, now to item A.
So I'll give you a report, monthly, but our finance director, one of our finance, she's been out, so I couldn't get, and, only answer, she couldn't, the secretary to her, she couldn't get what we usually get.
So our finance department has had some issues. We have a new finance director named Cindy, Sarah Sinstra. And she started it, she had to be isolated for a little while. So she's back in the office and we're able to give you support. However, I do want to say that Chaz has been working very, very hard on funding everybody's money, based on all the weddings and things that have been canceled. I know you have in your agreement that you And so some people are just saying, we want to put it to next year. All of the major events that we had planned in September, August, have canceled. The Cancelada, the Wild Game Dinner, they have all have canceled, but have assured they want to hold those dates for next year.
Right.
So he has been doing that for next year. I didn't make your last meeting, so I don't know, please forgive me, if Chad didn't inform you, but we have furloughed all staff here except for Chaz and one other person on the grounds, because we're not having any activity or any meetings here. Everything seems to be canceling. There's no sense of me having a janitor full-time, even if it's here, to set up tables and chairs or something's not happening, but it's being sanitized.
I think I speak for the board where I say we want to make this as easy as possible on the people who rent the building and have to cancel. We understand that. We don't want to penalize them
Yes.
in any way. Am I correct with that, board?
Yeah, so we are responding to everything. We talked to your attorney and he said that was fine because in this type of, I think he has some language in there that says, catastrophe or something. So definitely, we don't want to keep somebody's deposit. We can't have their wedding.
Right.
However, and just like the young lady was saying, for Peanut Festival, we do have some troopers who want to have a wedding. There's somebody who called us and wants to schedule a wedding for next month. My concern is that we need to have some kind of caveat, if we can ask the attorney his opinion about if it's canceled for if the governor decides to go back down to 25%, and that's less than his prior thing, I need to. Now, I don't want to cancel somebody's wedding, but we've already committed that they can have it next month. We don't know how to address that question.
Can they have it if it's like a very large group?
In this room, they can have 500, so now we have 50% occupancy. But at one point in time, we were at 25% occupancy. So I'm saying if the government takes us back down, for whatever reason, for 25% occupancy,
Or even a shutdown during that
if we
time.
shut down, because at one time we shut down, we needed, we need to say that we have to cancel it. They can't come back at us and say, I'm canceling somebody's wedding, or I'm canceling somebody's event. It's kind of like, you're looking at your own risk, so to speak. And so we don't know how to put that language in there, or have somebody to initially say, we'll refund you your money. It's just that you can't come back on us and say you have to have an event because the laws have changed. I don't know how to address
My
that.
thought is that whatever the government policy of that controls that, see, what they say is the rule. In other words, if Governor Abbott comes back and says we can't do it, then I assume we can't do it.
So is something we put the order in, like the executive order he gets, we staple it to the contract and sign it together, what it is for that month? Because it's been basically a week by week kind of thing where we're back and forth.
If someone wants to contest that, then at least we have something to fall back on, say, we're following the state rules.
Just something to say, I understand that, due to the pandemic, that there may be last minute changes or something. I just need something, so people get very, I'm just picking weddings because I've had a couple of conversations with people about their weddings and they want, one lady said, I want to guarantee, I can't guarantee anything that you can have this event. It's out of my control, literally. So I just don't know if there's a caveat or we're in the right direction to tell somebody, you're booking this at your own risk. Is that enough to cover us in reference to that, that you extend and this pandemic, things have been canceled and it's out of our control? How do you all want us to proceed?
The other thing is, we can say you can have the wedding, you and the preacher, people, but we can't guarantee how many people you're going to be allowed to have.
I think, give them the give them the warning, give them what you just said, Henrietta. They'll probably already have that.
Yes.
Saying that we're subject to executive rules. Non-executive rules are as such. That may change. And if that does change, that may affect your attendance. That you take this, have them sign maybe like a disclaimer, that they've been advised of that and they're taking the facility subject to that.
I could give the current, because I haven't printed the public, but the current order that the governor has, the current one that we're under right now, I can have them to have a copy, an initial one that we can state that they have it, and just, if we could just have it say, I understand that, this may change due to the pandemic and initially, then I should be good.
Yes.
Okay, so then we can do something simple like that. I just want to make sure that there are some people still trying to do weddings. Of course, our availability is really wide open right now.
wants to come August 8th.
Short term like that?
August, they want to do it in August.
They want to have
They
their
probably
wedding.
want to do it like prior and
Yeah.
are waiting closer and closer.
Because I have somebody who wants to come and book for November. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm not really worried about November. But this wedding, he's trying to book for, it's August 4th?
August 8th.
August 8th.
He had different venues that closed on him, so he's looking for a venue that, 350.
Okay, well, that would be what, about 20, what is that, about 30% of the occupancy on this? I think it would be a good idea, and I would maybe, if y'all want me to come up with something I can, that we have a kind of a disclaimer that they have to sign, that we give them a copy of the current executive orders. We also tell them that they're bound by them, and they're subject to change, and also that they take the facility subject to those orders, and the facility and events manager already, you already have the authority under the agreement to tell an event if they're overcrowded.
Yeah.
Well, this is the same exact principle, it's just not the overcrowding we would envision. It's overcrowding secondary to an executive order. And then you can theoretically limit people from coming in if they're outside of it. And also maybe something, I've heard people doing this, and I personally think it's a bit of an overkill, but having them sign a release, against a facility related to COVID.
Well, that's another concern because I did not open the city pool this year. Some communities not happy, but now pools after the 4th of July event are now closing because some of their pool parties, they're tracing it back to, that's where some people contracted it and they're actually suing that municipality reference to open up their pool.
I'm curious how any lawsuit involving someone trying to sue someone else for giving them the COVID is going to work out.
I think
But
that's too, but
we'll sue for sure.
yeah, I mean, McDonald's taught me that. You bought hot coffee and you bunches of them. They still remember McDonald's. So that kind of way where we say we had a discussion, I can prove we had a discussion that in case we have to close it, we have to close it. So that's what we wanted to make sure because I don't want to start attending on that contract. But I have plenty of the orders that we will deliver to different businesses about this is the governor's order. When it does change, he is very good, the governor's very good at putting it out there. We get it on time. So it's out there, so we'll make sure that we give compensated and understanding for that. Along that same line, in reference to activity, we're not really having much, but today, as you see some of the petitions out, we tested all city staff for the COVID-19 today. We have had a request from the census to use this facility for a week for their training, and we're corresponding with that. They didn't say necessarily if they were paying for the facility or what they were asking for, but it seems like everybody else is closing it to the public, so nobody's having any activity. And so, as I said, I furloughed my staff, so I don't have any cleaning staff here. Chad's will have to clean and sanitize these chairs himself once we leave, so.
I would simply say, you know what you're gonna pay us, if you meet all the guidelines, the government guidelines, that's,
And we will send that back, corresponding back to them and to see, because we have to do so actually tomorrow, because I think one of their meetings they want to have here on the 29th to do census training.
that's great, that's the government's problem.
So we will do that, offer them the 50%, because I guess they're a taxable entity, we'll offer that up for that event time and see what they're saying. But other than that, we haven't had much activity here, other than in the back of the sports complex. We had a quick conversation. Oh, that's not
Okay,
Other than that, that's our daily operations. There's a lot of cancellations, a lot of group dates, and just last minute people trying to book.
I think we're being more than generous compared to what I see in other counties. Okay. I'll close out item A. Item B, discussion, event center plan and policies. We talked a little bit about that, probably modifying policies regarding center usage. This is probably part of that conversation too.
Yes, and we do have the signage, something you notice when you come into the building, it says you have to have a mask. We have them all over the building. I'll share it with most community, but we haven't had any issues or anything for personal program at all. So it's been working.
How's our
program's been great. I know the basketball, she did have somebody test positive, so she shut that down. So she's been shut down for going on 2 weeks now. She did have a parent that did test positive, so she shut it all down. It's going on her second week. She's cleaning and sanitizing every day. So she's following guidelines like she's supposed to.
Is she holding up her end of that bargain?
Yes, she's doing actually a pretty good job of, she has a lot of kids working for her right now. She's actually helping them on this side too as well.
What about, do we have an adult basketball?
No, all our adult stuff is done. We're done. We're not looking to start back up anytime soon. We don't know what the government's going to do. I don't want to start something and we end up having to shut it back down again.
What about our baseball?
Baseball is still going. It's outside. It's a different capacity outside, so we're still going. They're figuring out ways how to keep the social distancing. But they're here almost every weekend.
And the crowds are quite nice. I've met with, what is his name?
Keith Hamilton.
Mr. Hamilton and his group. They're willing to do some things long term. They really like our fields. Little League has said that they're not gonna, they didn't have spring ball, and they probably don't have fall ball. They were gonna try to say they'll have the fall ball. So the nice thing about the fields are being used, and so that's nice. Hopefully going forward, they take a hiatus in August, as they normally do. That's their summer off, but they would love to continue to use these fields going forward.
How are the maintenance, how's the fields looking maintenance wise?
Good.
Fields, stickers,
Thanks
and
to FEDC, who has been helping us maintain the fields as by agreement that they have done to do, the fields are looking good.
Yeah.
And of course, it's kind of like an age, as they get better, the grass gets better, they're taken care of, so plant issues.
So we ride all the infields, so they're pretty full already. We do have somebody coming in, cutting every 10 days, and then Lopez Exterminating is doing the fertilizing and spraying and everything else with that. So we get no complaints. We get a lot of wows about the fields.
Ches, does the baseball park have its own Facebook page?
No, it's all on the Lotto G.
Would it be a good idea to have that? I've noticed, I get on Facebook and I do see like the Kerrville and other sports complex. Yeah.
Pages.
Yeah, where people can check in there. Would that be a good option or a good idea or not?
Well, we can have one. We can have Facebook page. It's, he's been trying to talk me into tweet, so
Is what?
to do that tweet stuff.
Oh, the Twitter.
So,
That's something we can make another page just for the sports complex, and then we can post every weekend. Mr. Hamilton comes. We can start posting stuff like fall ball, because I posted on the event center.
Is there a lot of cost involved with that?
Oh, it shouldn't be. It's a free page to open. It might be just to get our
our
webmaster to do
webmaster just
it.
has to link them, link them together with the other ones, because the police department has their own Facebook, Chaz has their own Facebook, the pool has their own Facebook, the city has their own Facebook page, but they're all linked together, so.
We would like to link it together with the city in here, just so we can share it to those same friends to go and like that page and get a big following.
You've seen that too, where there's other sports.
Yes, I see. Yeah, they'll tag them in it. And usually, I get Keith to tag the event center in it, so we can make a sports complex one and put that on
And
there.
it was nice to come. I actually brought my grandson up and let him walk around a little bit. And I mean a little bit because he's only one, so he just got to walk and take down. But to see the different license plates for Houston and Galveston and other locations that we hear for that event was really nice. So they're saying that they're looking at signing a multi-year agreement with us going forward to use their fields, which is exciting.
And then he's looking. I just spoke to him yesterday, and he's looking to bring their World Series here the last 4 days.
The World Series here?
The last 4 days.
And those are beat teams from where?
All over Texas. In the last 4 days, they usually hold it in Bernie, but they want to bring it here to Floresville. So we got all the equipment we need down there as well. So Jerry's doing a great job of, keeping up with those fields with the contractors as well.
Keep on evaluating and asking, Mr. Hamilton, how do we go to the next level? How do we keep on improving that part?
Yeah, and the good thing about it is he comes on Friday nights and he brings his staff that he employs and they come help prep the fields as well. So whatever Jerry does, they come water the fields, they drag the fields. Whatever we need, he's actually going, he wants to go half on us with, to dress the field, to make them look nicer. Like the red dirt, there's this thing called diamond dust.
Yeah.
You put it on top as the professionals use it, and you throw it on top and it dresses the fields really nice, and it helps them keep the way it's supposed to be kept. It's less work, less maintaining. So he's looking to work with us to be able to buy half a pallet, split the cost with us to be able to make the fields look nicer and keep them as professional as we can. So he does give us a lot of opinions about what we can and can't do. We were having a sticker problem. We sprayed, stickers are gone. So it's just, and it was just the time that we took a break when we all shut down. It wasn't much going on, so, but we're back to where we need to be. It's been no complaints.
Because in order to increase our customer base, the product still has to keep on getting better and better.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they like it out here as well too, because parents can sit in their cars and watch from the backside of the fields instead of having to physically get off. And then there's plenty of room. I think me and Ms. Turner spoke about this, and we drove around. You see people parking on the side and barbecuing and hanging out in the parks, and they're all over this side and the city park. So that's where they're looking to expand. I don't know if you've seen the one by the pool that we're keeping down there. We just fixed that one up, so that'll make us a 5 diamond field now. So it's just, they're able just to go back and forth here. What he's asking us, if we can make one more field, 6 fields, and we'd be competitive with any park around Texas to have 6 fields. And where we can do, because most of the time when he does a tournament, it's here and the overflow has to go to Jordanton because we don't have enough fields. And it's vice versa for Jordanton.
You have to have lights, because that's the most expensive part, is just the
well,
lights.
the ones down there have lights, and I know me and Ms. Turner talked about the softball lights, turning them, and they turn into the other field, and it's plenty of lighting to be able to have a 6 field.
We did talk about it one time, we think maybe those lights installed, maybe around the road arena, but the cost is phenomenal for somebody to get out there and take those lights down. We just thought that we could redirect the lights, the head of the lights, just get up there and redirect them rather than trying to take them down and unwire them.
It's something to look at for next year, especially opening up the splash pad, the pool, everything that's gonna, I mean, it should have been this year, but of course the pandemic hit.
It should always be evaluated.
But, that's right, they come down and help us dress the fields on Friday, and then they stay late on Sunday to dress the fields again, to leave them in better condition in case we have somebody to play in the interim. So that's really, really good. They're really happy that nobody's clearing the field in the interim, so they pre-dress them, and they have to come down and just dress them again. But it is definitely a partnership, a working partnership.
Yeah, it's a definitely working partnership. Jerry chalks the fields the Friday night, and they do the rest for the weekend. And they also, they also do the prepping.
And they're leaving the field clean, so they collect up garbage, they're clean, they're leaving the field clean, and so we couldn't have a better partner, so we want to do that. But like I said, he was willing to do a multi-year contract, and that we're negotiating that right now.
Chad, something that you're thinking about in the spring, once that outdoor stage is built, and we have a big tournament out there, maybe have some nighttime concert or something to keep the people here?
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I know I discussed that with him too, so we get his dates, so we can be able to plan stuff with the event center here and out there.
You know, at the same time, we've talked about some big name entertainment for that stage.
Even doing like an indoor flea market on Sundays here with vendors to come in where they can come from there to here. Something that will keep Sundays busy for us here and make a little bit of money.
Sounds good.
I think the thing that we can do also, like Danny was talking about, is making this a multi-use venue where people can come to watch a ball game, they can come here and shop, they can go to a barbecue cook-off or something like that, or come and camp out and do all of those things. We'll have a pool open hopefully next year, and make it where people come here, this is a destination. It's not just passing through. It's where they're going to stop and stay a while.
And that's one thing we talked about, trying to link up with him when we do our Freedom Fest this next year, if he can have a tournament out there at the same time.
Sure.
I mean, that'll bring people from all over and be able to
Celebrate America.
And tell them, hey, we're going to have a fireworks display.
Yeah, sorry, Celebrate America. I called it Freedom Fest, right? forgot we renamed it.
If you want to have a
Celebrate.
big tournament, we're gonna have fireworks display, we're gonna have this, we're gonna have that. All your parents, bring them.
This, this thing that we're all going through, it's gonna stop one day, so we need to start planning from the day that it starts, that it stops. So what are we gonna do in the spring? What are we gonna do in the summer of next year? We need to start thinking about those things, especially with that stage that we're building, the tournament of this building. Matter of fact, we celebrated our 10th anniversary of this building last month, 10 years.
Right. I remember it well.
Remember it well. Those chairs that are sitting right there,
And we actually had a plan to do something for June, for the 10th anniversary before. We had a big planned year this year. It's just been,
I mean, we keep getting knocked down, but we keep bouncing back up. And I think it doesn't make any difference how much you get knocked down, it's just how many times you get up.
Greg, did you hear that?
Yes, sir.
and that's something I would do, Danny. I'm gonna start looking at weekends for the spring.
Yeah.
Maybe block off a few for us to be able to do some smaller stuff, with Mr. Hamilton.
Remember, we had talked to, the guy from, someone from ZZ Top,
Yeah.
for an outdoor concert.
Okay. Now, something near and dear to all of our hearts. I'm going to move to item D, which is the budget. And I'm going to let, this thing's way too complicated for me. and I'm going to have to let-
It's not that complicated. I'm not trying to discuss any of that with you all today. What I want to say is that that top one is the credit profile that our financial advisor, Mr. Krogan, gives us every year. So I know you know the board, and some board members have seen it before, so that's just for your reading and perusal. I know Jacob sometimes asks about, what the debt is and what the coming was for. It's in here. And then the last two pages is a lot different, is the budget that we're actually proposing for this year. I put in a few things, but as you can imagine, your revenue is down, and so we can discuss this, continue to be able to look at it and have it. And I think, Mr. Chairman, you said that hopefully we can have a workshop with the council on August 4th at City Hall, or we can Zoom too, because we do have that capability compared to, we'll be discussing this budget. So I just want you all to have it so we can read it, not necessarily read it that night. The only thing I really want to point out to the board about the financial of the city is that we still have a deficit. The deficit is about $300,000. The city's credit rating was actually lowered because we keep hearing this deficit. And so for budget, we only put, because our hotel motel tax, as you know, is what actually funds this building for a lot of things, including staff, is down. Our sales tax is still questionable this time because it's a little late, but it looks like we're okay on sales tax. So we should make our target numbers, but we did limit about how many events that we're going to do next year. I believe we put funding in here for holiday extravaganza. Holiday extravaganza was one of the events that we said that we would try to have next year, and the 4th of July event. And so everything else, we're just taking it down to see if we can push the revenue. Some things are actually zero, but no fault to your own. So we'll have to adjust the budget going forward, but this is just the first draft. But I wanted you to have it. If you want to make any comments or changes, that's what the workshop is for on August 4th. We'll notify you all to do it on August 4th. And because some of your board members wear 2 hats, that's the same time we're going to be scheduling the 4 meetings as well. So this is just provide you all with the information prior to the meeting.
Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask? Manager, about this? As you said, I think you said, August 4th, right?
Yes, sir. It's a Tuesday at City Hall. August 4th, we're having a workshop. And if you want to participate, we have that capability. Historically, we have a meeting every year with the council.
Right.
This is
I think since you've been here, we've had a meeting every year. I would encourage any of you who would like to come to the meeting. We get to go over the items that we're concerned about. And not everything we ask for is given to us, but not everything we ask for is taken away. So we have the opportunity. This is our time. Now, budgets are only budgets. You can't spend more than you got. So we have to be cognizant of that and think that we have to be reasonable in our budget requests. If you have any, contact Ms. Turner. If you have anything that you see in here that you're questioning about, contact her, ask her, make sure that you understand, and then you're welcome to come to the budget meeting on our office.
yes, but we'll send you a notice via email of the agenda as a reminder of the meeting, and I look forward to it. And you have a chance to look at it. It is quite a lot too, but we need to show you the financial position of the city, which is that report, and then the last 2 pages is actually your budget itself.
Okay, and also remember we have a meeting now scheduled for July 30th with the Peanut Festival right here at 6 o'clock. Make a decision about that. It's going to be critical. We have the information that day. So please try to be here, and I want to make the best decision we possibly can.
What time is that meeting in City Hall?
City Hall meetings are 6 o'clock, I'm sorry.
6?
Yes, sir, 6 o'clock. And your meeting as well will be at 6 on the 30th?
Yes. And I'd like for you to be here if you possibly can on the 30th. Because we're going to need some knowledge from the city too.
30th is a Thursday.
When would they be going to the city to ask for opinion, like, for example, street closures?
They haven't got on the city council.
Chaz, if you would make sure where we are with vendors.
Yes, I'll follow up with them next week. I'll get with all the vendors, both vendors, which is Silver Eagle and Blazers, and talk to both of their event coordinators.
And then we'll be able to, at that time, we should be able to get them a report that we could provide you with.
Yes.
We'll get you the financial report. Everybody should be back and inside of the game, so we should have a financial report as well.
Hate to have to call a special meeting, but I think we're in a situation now that we've got to do something. And we can't do it upright. Do our due diligence and make the decision we need to make. Our job is to protect the event center, do what's best for the event center. If we can help other people, we'd like to. So, but anyway, that's all I have to say. Anyone else have anything? Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Havada. Second by Havada. All those in favor?